Welcome back. Now we're going to get into the math modeling part. And the math model I chose, or the example I chose to model, is the states of a baby. For that, we're going to use the math modeling triangle, starting with the real world, transforming that to a mathematical model, and then going from the mathematical model to the solve stage. So those are the 3 points of the triangle. So starting with the real world, we're going to go to two experts. My nieces, Ari and Alana, just had a new baby enter the house, baby Tommy, and they're very in tune to his states. So let's hear what they have to say about the states of a baby.
Hey, Ariana, Alana, I'm going to ask you, what does the baby do? Ariana?
Well, he cries.
He cries? Okay. Alana, what does he do?
Poops.
Okay. What does he do mostly, Ariana?
Cry.
What else does he do?
Sleep.
Oh, he sleeps. Okay. Thank you.
We just heard from Ari and Alana about a real-world situation. We now want to use our math modeling triangle to go from the real world to the mathematical model. One thing I didn't mention in my introduction is that there's these triangle pieces. We're moving from the real world to the mathematical model, and then we'll solve that model, that gives us the mathematical solution, and then we'll interpret the results of that solution. And so we'll go back. Sometimes we go back to the real world because we have this iterative process of restructuring our model so that we're capturing what we need to capture and that the analysis that we do makes sense. And so that's why we have this little circle in the center. But right now, we're just moving from the real world to the mathematical model. So let's do that. According to Ari and Alana, baby Tommy's states are sleeping. So I'm going to make a little pod here for the state of sleeping. Whenever baby Tommy's in there, he's sleeping. Crying. And then they left out eating, but they talked about pooping. The important things to Ari and Alana are these sleeping, crying, and pooping. But let's put pooping and eating both there so that we don't miss the eating. Now, modeler's choice. Modeler's choice is another way to say assumption. Right? My assumption is that baby Tommy is going to be moving from state to state by the hour. That's my little n. My little n is in hours, measured in hours. You could say minutes. It's been a long time since I had a baby, so it might not be an hour. It may be transitioning by the minute. Now, where did these come from? They're the transitions. They're the probability of transitioning from one state to another. And so in this diagram, I'm just going to make up a number that based on my own children, that they wake up, they cry, and then they poop. And I'm going to give that crying to pooping transition 0.20 probability, or 20% chance that they move from crying to pooping. And I'm just going to add on numbers. Some of these numbers, actually, I did spend a little bit of time looking up how long a baby sleeps per day and all these different activities. And so some of them come from some kind of paper, but not as solid as if I was writing something about this. So I'm making some of this up. The important thing to notice here is that if the baby is in a state of sleeping at the first hour and then they move to the second hour, there's a 58% chance that they continue sleeping. So that's 0.58 with this little arrow going in. But then they could wake up, they can transition with a 42% chance of crying. Those are weird numbers, but they're weird numbers because they need to total to 1. And so that's a cross-check for yourself if you're taking information from a story problem and making it into what we call the state diagram, that the arrows add up to 100%. So let's look at crying. Crying, inconsolable baby, 40% chance. In the next hour, it continues crying. There's a 40% chance that it moves from crying to eating, and there's a 20% chance it moves from crying to pooping. Notice the 40%, 40%, and 20% add up to 100%. Same with the gray here. Pooping, there's a 10% chance that you change the diaper, it's all clean, and baby poops again. 60% chance now that there's room in the stomach that it eats. And then 30% chance that it goes to sleep, it's happy, you change the diaper. And so now you see that these numbers, 60 plus 30 plus 10, add up to 100%. And I got a little lazy for the eating. Usually babies who eat well go to sleep, but I didn't have an arrow going to sleeping. I just said, hey, they eat, diaper's dirty again, 70% chance, or they might just continue eating with a 30% chance. And again, notice the 30% and 70% add up to 100%. So now you're ready to answer for me questions 1 and 2 on the feedback at this poll. And if you look down in the YouTube comments, you'll see a link for this poll so that you can answer those questions and just click the link. This is not a test. This is just feedback for me to see how well I'm doing on conveying this information.